real estate broker. I appreciate you stopping by my blog. Now, today, we're going to talk a little bit about something that's near and dear and true to my heart. We're going to chat a little bit about VA mortgages, so veteran affair mortgages, and why, if you have the capability, you should be taking advantage of those. JC and I here had been talking a little bit before we came on camera. I was trying to explain to him a little bit on how to understand VA mortgages and how, in a good majority of the cases, for the veterans that we have out there, myself included, 26 years of service as a VA-run business, I understand veteran mortgages. I've used them myself, and I can tell you they're a great product. But there are some things that you definitely need to watch out for. And I know JC and I talked about this a little bit in general, and you had some questions, right, JC, when we chatted a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have a few questions here. And just to start off, first question, if I'm on active duty or a veteran and I'm looking to buy a home, what is the first step I should take?
Well, you know what, JC, I'm glad you asked that question. But let's also add in there another category that a lot of people forget about, and that is full-time reservists, okay? If you are a reservist, let's just say, you did a small portion of time and you're doing your duty by serving in the reserves, the weekend a month, 2 weeks a year and whatnot, you have VA benefits as well. Also, if you are in the National Guard, you have VA benefits as well. So don't think because you don't fall into a specific group that you don't have benefits. And really, kind of to answer JC's first question, is you have got to use a VA savvy real estate agent or agency, somebody that knows and understands the process of VA mortgage. Again, here at AMP Realty, we are a VA run business. Again, know the ins and outs of the program and have used it myself and have helped several clients use it as well. Now, the thing that you want to understand about VA benefits or VA agents that can definitely help out, first and foremost, we understand the unique needs of VA home buyers. Okay, we take that into consideration, and being a former military veteran myself, or being a military veteran myself, I understand what people went through. And so therefore, I'm extremely passionate about serving those who served. I think, what comes around goes around, and I just want to make sure that everybody is taken care of. And I also understand the unique requirements of the VA mortgage. So there are some ins and outs with regards to that. But really, again, the number one step is to make sure that you work with a VA experienced real estate agent from the start. And we'll sit down and explain the entire process to you, because if you're a first-time home buyer, regardless of you're using a VA or not, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. And just want to make sure that you're comfortable and understand exactly where you need to start and how you're going to get into your house using your VA benefits. Does that make sense, JC? You're going to start out with somebody who knows the business, huh?
Yeah, definitely. It's always a good first step to take. So the second question.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. I mean, that's what I tell people. If you're interviewing agents to help you, ask the agent themselves. Have you ever used a VA mortgage? Are you familiar with the VA?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
you can learn a lot about them pretty quickly that way, huh?
Absolutely. Get that experience. See what they know. Sorry, I didn't cut you off, but go ahead. Something I'm passionate about.
No, I hear you. Second question I had for you was, what are some things I need to know about financing? Is it truly a no money down deal?
Well, and that's a huge question. I get a lot of VA buyers that ask me, so, well, I'm a veteran, I don't have to put any money down. And I said, well, yes, that's for the purchase, for your down payment. Okay. Understand that I'm not going to give away my age here, but let's just say that when my parents bought a house, it was back when they had conventional mortgages, basically, and you put 20% down of whatever you were purchasing. So as an example, if you were buying a $100,000 house, you put down $20,000, okay? That was your down payment money. And as a veteran or using the VA mortgage benefit, you don't have to put that money down. You don't have to put that percentage down, right? So you're truly getting into the house with no money down. However, there are other fees that will be required for you to come out of pocket, and also some to happen the day of closing. So you've got some out-of-pocket fees prior to closing, and you've got some fees that are required the day of closing, okay? Just so you understand. Now, here's the thing. Some of those out-of-pocket upfront fees are going to be mainly your inspections and your appraisals that have to be paid for. Now, here's one thing that a lot of VA people don't know with regards to inspections, okay? So on a VA mortgage, the veteran does not pay for the pest inspection. That inspection must be paid for by the seller. And again, that's why you need a VA savvy realtor, so you know exactly how to write the contract accordingly, because it could be something that they're going to want to make you to pay if it's not written in a contract. Now, understand it's not that big of a deal, but hey, a penny saved is a penny earned, definitely, when we're talking about probably one of the largest purchases of your life. So talk to your lender as well and make sure that they know what your situation is. Getting back to the other monies that come to the table, you have to bring what are called closing costs and prepaids. And your closing costs are things like attorney's fees, the doc prep fee, the transfer tax fee, okay? Your prepaids are things such as your homeowner's insurance has to be prepaid, and your taxes have to be prepaid. Now, again, getting a good agent that knows how to communicate that and how to write that into the offer, there's a possibility that we could get the seller to assist you with that. So you could truly get into the house with potentially no money down. All right, or very little out of your pocket. So again, you want to open the lines of communication and make sure that you understand what your financial obligation is. Even as a veteran, you still have to qualify for that mortgage, and you're still going to have to bring some money to the table, okay? But again, truly, one of the better programs out there is the Veterans Administration benefit to purchase a home if you have the capability to do so. And again, we can look that up for you and tell you, do you have that eligibility? Makes it real simple. So does that make sense, JC, as far as kind of like the no money down versus having to have some money out of your pocket? There's still somewhat of a financial commitment.
Yeah. And it all starts with, like you said, hiring a VA savvy real estate agent. So make it painless for you.
Absolutely.
Moving forward, after the financing, so I've been approved for a VA mortgage. What are some other things I need to consider when I'm in the process of buying my home?
Okay. Well, here's the same thing that I'm going to tell anybody that's in the process of buying a home, is that you've got to watch your P's and Q's. In other words, you've got to watch your money flowing in and out of your account. Now, once you buy a home, you can do all the secondary, and that is you can buy a new car, you can buy furniture, you can go out and you can make those large purchases while you're in the process of getting your VA mortgage. And again, they're a little bit more stringent and strict on some of the requirements because they've got all the money into the game and you don't, right? In other words, with the down payment, they're putting a big chunk of that money down for you. So while you're in the process of going through the VA mortgage, don't do anything crazy that would involve you, taking huge chunks of money in or out of your bank account. All right. Don't go out and don't buy a new car. Okay. It doesn't matter if you put it on a credit card, if you financed it, if you paid a huge chunk of cash for it. Don't buy large purchase items. Don't go out and do anything that's 90 days, same as cash. And for goodness sakes, don't do anything that's going to require you to give your Social Security to run a credit check, okay? Because if you run a credit check, you're going to be pinged, and that could be a possibility of, again, losing the house. Now, a couple of true stories here, and I'm making this up. I had a client of mine was going through the situation of buying a mortgage, and very, very savvy buyer. But we went through the same thing. Don't go out, don't do anything that's going to require you to put a large chunk of money down. And they said, no problem, understand it completely. Loan officer calls me as they do the credit check prior to closing, and they go, Todd, I think your client bought a new car over the weekend. And I was like, oh man, let me make a phone call. Let me find out. So I call, and we'll call her Samantha in this scenario. So I'm like, Samantha, I just have to ask you, did you buy a new car this weekend? And she goes, Todd, you know I would never buy a new car. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. She goes, of course not. She goes, I leased it. Like, oh no, what are we going to do? So we had to go back and rework some things, but we did get it pushed through. But again, anything that's going to possibly jeopardize you getting that money, don't do it. Ask your savvy real estate agent, ask your savvy loan officer if you can purchase it. The best thing to do is, it's harder to get a house than it is to buy a car or to get furniture. 90 days, same as cash. So make sure, again, that you understand what you need to do, and very specifically what you don't need to do prior to the closing, so you can stay on task and to make sure. Now, the cool thing is when you've qualified for the VA mortgage, one of the things that you have to understand, depending on where you are in the country, VA mortgages can vary different from state to state. And that is simply because the cost of living is completely different, okay? One of the best case scenarios I've heard was that I did hear of a VA in the Washington area that actually purchased their property for, I think, just a little over $1 million with a VA mortgage. Again, no money down up front as far as the down payment. But again, that would never fly here in Louisville. You wouldn't be able to do that. There are costs in the particular areas of the country that you need to know about when you're buying. So again, talking to your savvy agent, realtor, make sure you know what those limits are, okay? It's very important to understand that, because the limits do vary from place to place. But again, kind of getting back to JC's question is, don't do anything that's going to jeopardize your credit. If you're thinking about doing something, talk to your agent. That's the biggest thing, probably the first thing. Does that make sense, JC? So I don't want you going out there and buying that fancy stereo and that car that, you know, raises and lowers and has all the hydraulics. You understand me?
Yeah, I understand. I won't even, no shoppers credit cards either that they always ask you for, right?
Absolutely. Well, hey, I know when I was in college and I was thirsty for 2 liters of Coke and a t-shirt, all I had to do was sign up for a credit card, right? It was easy, and I had drinks for at least 2 days. But don't do that. Don't do that if you're buying a house, okay? Stop that.
All right. So last question I have for you. If I'm on active duty and I'm going to be moving every few years, what are the advantages of buying versus renting?
Well, and you know, and that's an excellent question. And I think maybe one of the things that people don't think of when they are, you know, starting out or moving into a second or third home is they're not thinking of their home as an investment. You know, they're thinking of their home as a place to stay. Now, and of course, home should be thought of as a place to stay, but your home can eventually help you pay for things you didn't know that you were going to need to pay for, like, you know, kids' college or an emergency trip. You know, there are advantages to having additional real estate. Now, the thing that you have to keep in mind is when you're thinking of when you're moving every few years, okay, and you may be moving across the country, in some cases across the world. I can tell you that, you know, when I was on active duty and a lot of my friends that were on active duty, we never really knew where we were going to end up or exactly where we were going to wind up back at once we finished. So you may find yourself, you may have enjoyed your time in one of the states, and you might find yourself back there. And if you moved around, then, you know, you could move right back into your same home. Here's the interesting thing about it, right? As you're building your real estate investment portfolio, if you decide to do that, okay, and in some cases there are possibilities, and I'll have to research this again a little bit more, but if you've got a question about it, let me know and I'll follow up with you. But there was, at one point I knew that you could use your VA benefit to purchase up to 5 homes at one point. So you could literally become a real estate mogul while not having to put any of your own money down, which is fantastic. And with the opportunity to have properties managed for you and to have properties increase in value. So let's say, for example, if you have the opportunity to purchase a home, and let's say worst case scenario, we go back to 2007, where property values just tank, but you can still get the money for your mortgage. Well, you transfer out, you still get the money for your mortgage through renting, okay, and wait for that house to appreciate back up to where you can sell it for a profit. Find a professional manager to manage that for you. There are, again, advantages to doing that. Now, here's the thing. One of the things that I do want to caution on VA mortgages, a little bit different than an FHA, but VA and FHA mortgages are assumable, okay? Here's one thing to keep in mind, and I have worked with a couple of clients where we've had to do some finagling, because from one veteran to another, you can assume that loan. Now, obviously, the veteran has to qualify in order to assume it, and sometimes you can get it for a better rate than what the current rate is, so it's a very attractive type way to purchase a property. However, when a veteran assumes your VA mortgage, you also take on that veteran's assumption, meaning if that veteran declares bankruptcy, if that veteran goes into foreclosure, and your VA mortgage that they assumed goes into bankruptcy or foreclosure, it also affects you, okay? So I would never in a million years recommend that you allow somebody to take over your VA mortgage. It's just kind of a word of caution there. Again, so if you've got questions about that, let me know. But going back to your properties, you can use your VA loan to purchase multiple properties if you travel around the country. So it could be a good way for you to build up a real estate portfolio. The other thing that you have to think about too is if you're on active duty and you're purchasing the house through VA, you're purchasing the house through no money down. You are getting your per diem, which is paying you the cost to live out in town, and which could ultimately pay for your mortgage. And as you're paying your mortgage down, you're living rent free because you're getting your per diem. And when you go to move on to somebody else, you've paid down that mortgage significantly for free. You haven't done anything. You've basically been living rent free because somebody's paid for your mortgage for you. Now that property can become an investment, okay? And there are ways to do that systematically so you can manage that and actually turn a net profit on VA purchased properties. So again, I would think of your house as an investment. And again, I would ask and talk to VA savvy individuals, loan officers, real estate agents, real estate brokers, those companies that handle VA mortgages and veterans benefits. Okay. So, JC, do you have any more questions with regards to VA mortgages? I mean, we've pretty much touched on most of the items that people need to be aware of.
Yeah, I think you covered pretty much everything, especially the most important thing. So yeah. I figure if anyone has any additional questions, always reach out to you. So
well, again, yeah, and let me say this. One of the biggest things that you can do when you're purchasing a VA mortgage is interview your real estate agent. Make sure that they have experience with VA mortgages and understand the process, because that can make or break the whole experience for you. And of course, if you have any questions about VA mortgages, you can always ask us here at Amped Realty, a veteran-run business, myself in the business, 26 years. But also, if you happen to know somebody who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, may not be a VA mortgage, but could be first-time home buyer, somebody downsizing, or somebody looking for investments, feel free to have them give us a call. Please don't keep us a secret. We're always happy to chat, and hope you have a wonderful day. And let me know if you've got any questions. Hope to hear from you soon. Take care now.